Good morning. Get an early start today. Cheryl and I are heading back home today. But before we do that, I'd like to visit with you about Matthew chapter 26, verses 51 through 75. And yesterday, or Saturday, I guess, as we had finished up what we were looking at in Matthew here, Judas had betrayed Jesus, and they came and laid hands on him and took him. And right after that, and it says that one of them took a sword and cut an ear off of the high priest's servant. And Jesus told him to put the sword away. You know, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And Jesus, healed that man. You know, he picked the ear up and he put it back on his head and healed that person again. And it's just one more of those examples of, even in his greatest distress, Jesus was concerned with others, and not just any others, but primarily and especially his disciples. And he had told his disciples that they were all going to flee; they would all desert him. And as we read this, the first, through verse 56. They've arrested Jesus, and he says, he says to them, if you come out against me as a robber with swords and stuff at night, and Jesus has been in the temple preaching and teaching, this whole week. Well, not the whole week, but he came in, he was there on the Sabbath, for Palm Sunday, and he's been every day coming in and visible, and so here they come, at night in the dark and arrest him. And it's a part of, just a reminder that, under the cover of dark, many other bad things can happen. There are more burglaries and break-ins and different things happen in the dark. I mean, it's getting a little bit different in today's society with so many people working and nobody home in the day, that there are burglaries and there are things like that go on in the daytime too. But under the cover of darkness, people, or I shouldn't maybe just say darkness, but anonymity, when you can't be seen, when you're a part of a crowd, people will do things that they wouldn't normally do. But under the cover of dark, more bad things happen. Yeah, but so here it is, that they come and they arrest Jesus, and the truth is, I mean, why didn't they arrest him during the middle of the day? Well, remember we read that, they were the chief priests and the scribes, the Pharisees, were afraid of the people if they were to arrest Jesus, because Jesus had such a following. But all of a sudden, in just these few days again, the tide has turned against Jesus, and I guess we see that, in today's society as well, that, somebody is the hero, somebody everybody's looking up to, and then they do something and, well, they're just the worst person in the world. And, and we shouldn't judge somebody on, just one or two aspects of their life. We really need to look at the whole package. But after Jesus has been, taken by these men, they've grabbed him by the arms and they're ready to take him away. In the last part of verse 56, all the disciples forsook him and fled. And Jesus is taken away led to Caiaphas, the high priest. And Caiaphas has, at times, kind of spoken for Jesus, but yet, he's one of those that's, he could have had a lot more impact. He could have swayed a lot more people, but again, too, he didn't want to disrupt the people and fall out of their favor either. But they take him to Caiaphas, and the Bible tells us that Peter followed at a distance, and we know this story of Peter, and we have heartache for Peter. I mean, I do. I mean, I feel so bad for Peter, and wonder, well, why is he the only one that is written about, the only one that we know about? Because didn't the others, try to sneak around and find out too? I mean, John was at the foot of the cross as Jesus died, so John had come back later, but Peter is watching, and from a distance, and the priests, the chief priests, and they're trying to find witnesses against Jesus, false witnesses, people to tell lies about Jesus. They're seeking, anybody that can say anything against Jesus. Well, I mean, we can say a lot of things against people, not knowing if they're true or not, but they couldn't find any true witnesses. They couldn't really find anything against Jesus that would warrant his death. I mean, and not only that, but the Jewish people didn't have the authority to sentence anyone to death, and that's why they bring Pilate into the picture a little bit later on. But they're questioning Jesus and finding witnesses against him, and Jesus doesn't say anything in his defense or anything else. And finally, in verse 62, the high priest, meaning Caiaphas, rose and said to Jesus, "Do you not answer anything? What are these men testifying against you?" But Jesus kept silent, it said. And then again, the high priest said, "I put you under oath of the living God. Tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God." So Caiaphas asks Jesus straight out, "Tell us if you are the Son of God." And Jesus answered, "It is as you said." He didn't say, "I am the Son of God." He didn't use those exact words, but he said, "It is as you said." Are you the Son of God? It is as you said. And that's each and every one of us needs to answer that question. Is Jesus the Son of God for me? Do I believe that Jesus is the Son of God? And if I state that, then I do believe. And Caiaphas is so upset by that. It says he tears his clothes and says he's spoken blasphemy. And then he asks the others, "What do you think?" And they say, "He is deserving of death." And I mean, to claim to be God is a serious thing. I mean, not one of us could claim that. I mean, and why would we? I mean, I know very well that I'm not God, and I'm pretty sure you're not either. But but they're upset again, and he's deserving death for blasphemy, and then these people, strike Jesus, and they start to beat him and poke fun at him, and prophesy to us. And they're just mocking, and here's some of the scorn and the shaming, the blaming coming in. And then the last part of this chapter is Peter outside in the courtyard, and the 3 times that different people come to him and say to him, "You are one of the disciples. I saw you with him." And Peter denies Jesus 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times. And after the 3rd time that we hear, the cock crows, the rooster crows, just as Jesus told Peter. This Peter who said, "If I must die with you, I will go with you." I mean, nothing can separate me from you, is what Peter had said to Jesus. But yet we find he was, just like the others. He ran away, but followed at a distance and denied. And the last thing we read today is Peter went away and wept bitterly. And I can truly understand that. Have you ever done something so wrong that you know it, and you feel so bad inside, and you want to be like Peter and go and weep? And when we read this passion story, and when we get to Good Friday, with the crucifixion and death, I mean, we too are just like Peter. We hurt because Jesus is doing this for you and for me, and we know that. I mean, I know that I have, denied Jesus. I have not followed God's laws. I have sinned. I am a sinner, and that's why Jesus came for me, because I'm a sinner. And I mean, to think about that, really, to really think about that, and to really accept that the death of Jesus was because of people like me, sinners, really makes it hit home. And as we read through these four Gospels, as we're gonna read this story three more times. I mean, we haven't finished the story this time in Matthew, but every time I read the stories of Jesus, especially this Passion story, it just hurts. But yet, within the hurt, it brings about great gratitude that God loved me and you that much.